Bernie and Cinder leave their home in Fireland after a terrible storm wrecked their home, and they chose to make a better life for themselves and their baby girl, even though Bernie's family wasn't happy about their departure. They set sail in a boat and headed to Element City. They go to the check-in station where they see the history of different elements coming to the new city. They come to see that Element City isn't made for fire, but they do their best and search for their new home. They are on a train and Cinder gets dosed with water from water, and Bernie is disgusted by water for fear of being put out. They leave the train and see homes for rent, but no one will allow them to rent, since they are fire. Bernie sees a rundown building, which they buy and turn it into their new home as they welcome their new daughter, Ember, into the world. Their place is now open for business, and Ember is growing fast and tells shoppers that Fireplace will one day be all hers. Bernie tells Ember to keep an eye on two waters as they come into their shop. Ember is growing up, and we see Bernie getting older and losing his strength. Bernie tells Ember to take control of the shop for a little bit. A customer is playing with sparklers, and Ember gets upset and blows her fuse. Ember is now all grown up dealing with customers, but she blows up again. She deals with some broken glass that broke, but then sees her father coughing and tries helping him. Cinder, Ember's mother, is seeing if couples are matches by reading the smoke they give off their fire stick. Cinder tells Ember she hasn't ever smelled love coming from Ember, and Cinder's mother, before she died, wanted Ember to make sure she fell in love with fire, because elements aren't supposed to mix. Ember heads out to beat her dad's delivery record. Ember gets home from beating her dad's record to see him tired and sleeping at the counter. Bernie tells her she is going to run the red dot sale the next day, and Ember is excited. The next day she opens the door and people pile in, and she tries calming herself, but it's useless. So she runs down to the basement and blows up, causing the pipes to burst. Water starts gushing out, and she has to fix the pipes. She sees movement in the water, and then a water rises and starts crying. He tells her he is the city inspector and must write citations up on the shop for bad pipes, as well as not having permits when her dad fixed up the place. He tells her he must close the shop down. Water leaves her shop and heads to City Hall, and Ember follows even though she hates riding the train and almost gets vaporized by a waterfall. Ember keeps chasing Water down but loses him as he sends the citations up to his boss. He then feels bad for her and then helps her. Water leads her to his boss, Fern, and Water tells Fern Ember's sad story, but then Ember blows up because she doesn't want him to know. Ember heads home and helps her parents deal with the broken pipes. Ember vows to protect their blue fire and their shop. She heads to Water's work and talks with his boss, but Water tells Ember his boss is at a sporting event. They both head to the game and meet his boss, Gale. Gale is yelling at the players and the refs for how bad the game is going. Gale and Ember get into an argument but is broken up when Wade sees Lutz, the best player on the team, messing up. Wade tells everyone in the stands Lutz's mom has been sick. Wade starts cheering on Lutz and gets the crowd into it, and Lutz gets the motivation to destroy the other team. Gale tells Wade and Ember about a horrible leak in Ember's part of town. Wade then tells them how he got sucked into Ember's shop. Gale agrees to cancel the citations if they can deal with the leak. They hop into an air balloon that Ember inflates with her heat. Wade's arm starts to boil when he stands close to Ember, so he steps away. Ember tells Wade she is supposed to take over the shop so her dad can retire. Ember tells Wade that she was rejected from seeing the Vivisteria bloom when she was a child, and that this flower can bloom in any environment. Ember tells Wade she can't connect with others and is jealous that he can so easily. Wade shows Ember an area that catches excess water from ships moving past, but the door is broken. A ship goes by and the area gets overrun with water, and Ember and Wade try to stop the water. They block the water with sandbags, and Wade tells her he will get a crew to fix it before their deadline. Wade asks Ember on a date for the next day, and Ember decides to think about it. Ember heads home, and on the next day she is very happy, and her mother notices a smell of love coming from Ember. Ember decides to meet up with Wade, and they head out on their date and have a great time together. Ember is back at the shop the next day, and her temper isn't as hot, and her mother wonders who this guy is. Ember and Wade both become infatuated with each other and each other's gifts. We then see the sandbags, but the water is still getting through and is causing issues at the shop. Wade comes to see Ember and tells her the sandbags aren't working, and he won't be able to get a crew to fix the leak. Bernie finds Ember and Wade in the basement, and they tell Bernie Wade is a food inspector, and Bernie tells Wade to eat some of their food. Wade struggles with eating the hot food, but then tells them if he waters their food down, it tastes great, which angers Bernie. Wade and Ember go to the beach to fill sandbags, but Ember feels hopeless. They sit in the sand, and Wade sees her fire is turning the sand into glass, and Ember makes a flower. They both head to the broken doors, and Ember uses the sand to make glass to block the leak. Bernie is sick in the basement, dealing with broken pipes, and he tells Ember he is proud of her and sees a new change in her. Cinder decides to follow Ember one night. Ember heads to Wade's place. Ember meets Wade's mother and then the rest of his family. Wade's mother says she is an architect from the Element City School of the Arts. Wade tells everyone how creative flame Ember has. Wade's family talk about Wade being afraid of sponges, and then one of Wade's family breaks a container, and Ember fixes it and amazes everyone. And Wade tells Ember she should do something with her talent. Wade suggests they all play the crying game, and Wade tells Ember how he feels about her, and this makes Ember cry for the very first time. Wade's mom tells Ember she got her an internship where she can use her talent. Ember is upset and heads home, and Wade doesn't understand why she is so mad. Ember tells Wade she doesn't know if she wants to take over the shop. Cinder yells at Ember for loving Wade since he is water and her father will be angry. Cinder tries showing them their love won't work. Wade can't make fire on his own but uses Ember to make the fire, which causes the stick to smoke, and Cinder sees they are compatible. Bernie comes down and tells Ember and Cinder he is going to retire in 2 days and Ember is going to take over. Bernie shows Ember what he has made for her when she takes over. Ember heads to see Wade and wants to tell him she has to take over the shop, that she doesn't have a choice. Wade takes her to where the Vivisteria flower is located, and Gale helps by blowing an air bubble into the water, so Ember can see the flower. Ember jumps into the air bubble, and Wade navigates her through the water to see the tree, where the flowers are blooming. Wade realizes she is almost out of air and rushes her out of the water. Wade reaches his hand out to touch Ember, but she is reluctant to give it a try. She finally gives in and steam rises from their hands as they touch. They start to dance, but Ember is scared, because she feels she needs to take over the shop no matter if she wants to or not. Ember leaves Wade and heads home. Numerous fires are at the ceremony where Bernie celebrates Ember and her taking over the shop. Wade shows up at the ceremony and tells Ember why they can be together. Wade then tells Ember he loves her. Ember tells him she doesn't love him and runs away. We then see the glass breaking that's holding away the water. Ember is at a lookout trying to figure out the right decision when she hears the glass break and flooding the area. Wade is getting ready to flee town when he hears the sirens going in Ember's town, and he rushes toward her. Ember races home to warm her parents. Bernie fears the water will take out their blue fire, and Ember races to save the fire. She gets into the shop and closes the door, and Wade comes to her rescue. Ember puts a glass shield around the flame, but it only lasts moments before debris break the shield and force Ember into another room. Wade stands up from under a table in the same room holding the flame. Ember seals up the room from the water, but then the room becomes too hot for Wade. They try to escape through the ceiling, but it gets blocked with debris. Ember tells Wade she loves him, and they embrace until Wade evaporates. Fires come to help save them and save Ember, but she is alone in the room now. Ember tells her dad she doesn't want to run the shop, and Bernie tells her she was his dream, not the shop. Ember, Bernie, and Cinder all hug and cry, and they hear someone crying from the other room. Ember goes to investigate and notices Wade is there crying from the ceiling, and the whole family try to make Wade cry. Wade forms again, coming up from a pot, and Ember and Wade embrace and kiss. After a few months, another couple is seen running the shop, and Bernie is still there but retired. Wade and his mother and Ember's parents see Wade and Ember off to her new school. Before they leave, Ember bows down to her father, and he returns the bow to Ember, giving her his blessing.
Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe and ring that bell to be notified of our newest videos.